the circuit-wide case management orders that you can find on the website. If you go onto the website for the 18th Judicial Circuit, you can press, it'll be right there at the top where you have the civil case management orders and forms for you to be able to locate them. Then you can click on that tab, go to the next page where you get the orders. You have either the cases that are filed after April 30th, 2021, where it gives the orders, and you can click on those and have the forms in which they are provided in Word and otherwise online for your benefit. Most of you are the general case management plan rather than the case management, streamlined case management plan and order. Then there are also the cases that are filed from before to April 30th, 2021, which indicate the order that is to be filed as well. Essentially, when you all have to fill out these orders, what I first would like you to do, which believe it or not, some people do not do, is also take the Exhibit B, erase the exhibit. The one thing that is also noted on these orders that for some reason are not, that everyone needs to make sure and be aware of, is the fact that it says in the 18th Judicial Circuit in and for Seminole and Brevard counties, Florida. Now, as indicated, so when I created these orders, and as everybody knows, at this point, I'm Judge Jessica Recksiedler, and also when I wrote this order as Chief Judge for the administrative order and the case management orders, this is a circuit-wide order that is to be used as a form for both Seminole and Brevard counties. That is why it originally states in the style of the case in the 18th Judicial Circuit and in for Seminole and Brevard counties. However, what is expected is that that information is, of course, edited in order to demonstrate and show if it is for Seminole or if it is for Brevard. So I would ask that you all adjust the style of the case to indicate what county you are in, because there are some individuals who are not doing that. Then, of course, you fill out the case number and the case style of the case with the case management plan. Now, when you're filling out the information on the case management plan, when it says the date of the first filing, it should indicate the date the case was filed. That information is supposed to be placed in there, not leaving that blank as to the date of the first filing. So a date, for instance, would be placed in there. For instance, you could put July 1st, 2021. That would then be placed into the date of the first filing to indicate when the date of the first response would be required. So normally at 20 days after, of course, service. Deadlines for adding new parties or amendments of pleadings. Each of these timeframes that are indicated in here are suggested timeframes based upon the timing that would be indicated for when the trial is to take place, based upon our designations and requirements that were put forth from the Supreme Court of Florida, that a general case is to be 18 months essentially from the date of the filing, whereas the streamlined case is to be approximately 12 months. So these are suggested timeframes that are placed in there, but you are to put on your case management plan the indication of what time frame that you're doing. All right, it's either 60 or 90 days. It may be 60, it may be 90, but to place that in there. All right, to place an exact specific date. So if you're going to use a time frame, put 60 days since the response date, or you could put in there what you believe the exact date would be from the response date. Same thing, you have deadline for witnesses and exhibit list, 60 days before trial, 75 days before trial, 90 days before trial. So you could put 75 days in there and put those in within each of these components. The last part where it indicates the trial date should be filled in, and the trial date, if it's a general, should indicate a specific month and date. Now, realizing that Seminole County does not have specifically a docket, that may be 18 months out at this point. But what would happen is if you place a date in there, we will of course attempt to place the trial on the trial docket that is closest to that date. So for instance, if you put at this point 18 months out, which would approximately be March 15th of 2023. You're also supposed to put in there the time frame for the trial, whether it's a 5-day jury trial, because of course if you're demanding trial by jury, you're not a trial by jury, but put a 5-day jury trial, or if it's a 2-day non-jury trial, to place that in the portion with the trial date. After that is done, it is to be dated and then signed by the parties. Now, it can be electronic signature of counsel and the parties, or it could be a physical signature and uploaded into the court file and submitted through the court file as a PDF or otherwise in Word if you're able to. And it has to be signed by both parties, not just signed by one party. All right. It indicates signature of counsel and unrepresented parties and are supposed to be signed. Counsel must put their Florida bar number. Unrepresented parties must include their email address for service. So at this point, it's both parties would sign it and date it. Then we come to the case management order. The case management order would indicate when that's prepared. Again, if you could adjust the style of the case to put Seminole County, since you are filing it here in Seminole County, so you would otherwise correct that. The case management order then would put your trial date that you had previously indicated of the March 15th, 2023. And then whatever dates that you had decided otherwise on the disclosures for the witnesses, the experts, and objections and so on should be placed within those blanks of all of the remaining portions of that order. Now, again, the other portion of the order coming to the signature block. In Brevard County, ICMS does not have the same system that it is in Seminole County. Therefore, the electronic signature populates differently in Seminole County than it does in Brevard County. Therefore, in Seminole County versus Brevard County, when you are to submit the order, it must be corrected pursuant to the administrative order of our system, requiring the electronic signature to be able to populate, and changed so it has the DDD as well as the signature initials for the judge and has the JJJ. All right. So those are required to be changed on all case management orders in order to make sure that it will electronically populate. Brevard County does not require those initials for their ICMS system. They sign things differently. So therefore, that is why the order as a generic order indicates the date and the circuit judge signature block in that space. But remember, again, this is a circuit-wide order. So that is how you would prepare the case management order and the case management plan. The other thing I would indicate is I know there are issues at times where the one side may not be cooperating with the other. What I would suggest for you to do is to indicate that when you submit the case management plan, you can file a case management plan in the court file if the other individual is not meeting with you, not cooperating with you in order to avoid an order to show cause or issues with the court, and then submit it to the court with a letter indicating when the case, cover letter in the case management order, the attempts that have been made to contact the opposing party, the attempts that, and there should be documentation, whether by as far as email or correspondence, To indicate that that has been done, documentation should be attached to the letter that is provided. So the court has documentation of it and evidence of that. And then also indicate that the other side has now they've been submitted this case management order, 5 days to object. And if they do not object within the 5 days, that the court would ask that the party would ask that the court would enter that order. And essentially, we will look at that in order to hopefully avoid any issues in the future. Now the orders to show cause, we are submitting the orders to show cause as a reminder for everyone as we are today's hearing, in order that these are to be done within 30 days from the date of last service from the last defendant. Just as if you practice in federal court, there's a requirement that these case management orders are to be submitted. Essentially, the Florida Supreme Court is attempting to have the case management plan and orders go along those federal lines, which is why we've issued the order to show cause. If case management orders are submitted and signed prior to the order to show cause, and they must be also signed and accepted by the court, then the parties are not required to appear for any order to show cause hearing. It's only when it's still failed to be submitted that they are required to be submitted to the court.